Hi everyone, my name is Professor Robert, and today, in our lesson 16, we will study two things. Why any number, any number uh, to the power zero, the power zero is always one. That is any number with an exponent to value zero is always one. And the two, what happens? What happens when positive exponents turn negative and vice versa, and vice versa. All right, let's dig right in. Now, we will explain why any number to the power zero or with an exponential value of zero is always equal to one using an example. For example, let's assume you are given a number like 2 to the power 4. Now, 2 to the power 4 means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16. Now, supposing you reduced the exponential value by 1 and had 2 to the power 3, this would become 2 times 2 times 2, which will be 8. Then supposing you continued to reduce the power of the exponential value from 3 to 2, 2 to the power 2, this would be 2 times 2, which is 4. Now you note that on the left-hand side, the values are decreasing in a systematic way by being divided by 2. 16 divided by 2, we get 8. 8 divided by 2, we get 4. So if we reduced our exponential value 2 here to 1, would have 2 to the power 1, which would be equal to, following the same pattern here, 4 divided by 2, that will give us 2. Now, let's suppose we now reduce this right up to 0, from 1 to 0, 2 to the power 0. We would have to follow the same pattern here by dividing by 2 our value here 2. So 2 divided by 2 will give you 1. And that's what becomes our answer. 2 to the power 0 is equal to 1. So any number to the power 0 should always end up being 1. And if we, for example, took another example, it would certainly be the same. Let's suppose we had another example like 3 to the power 2. This would mean 3 times 3, which would be 9. And then if we reduce the exponential value of 2 to by 1, this would be 3 to the power 1. And this would be 3. And you can see that if we reduced this exponential value of 1 to 0, this becomes 1 if we are to follow the process of dividing by 3 throughout. So 3 to the power 0 will give us 1. So generally speaking, any number x to the power 0 is always equal to 1. This is a golden rule that we have to follow in algebra. and it will help us very much in solving um, problems in algebra. Now let's look at our second point that we are supposed to study. What happens when positive exponents turn negative? Again, we'll use an example. Let's assume we had, say, 3 to the power 3. 3 to the power 3 means 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Now let's reduce the power, the exponential power by 1. It will become 3 to the power 2. This would mean 3 times 3, which is 9. Now let's reduce still the power by 1. We will then have 3 to the power 1. And this will give us a value that we can get by following a pattern here. Divide by 3, you get 9. Divide by 3, you get 3. And we found out that when you reduce the power to 0, in this case we have 3 to the power 0, the value here should be 1. Now, if we went further to reduce our exponential value, something else happens. If we reduce the exponential value by 1, we would end up having 3 to the power negative 1. And this should be equal to us again here following the same format. Divide by 3, divide by 3, and even here would have to divide by 3. And therefore the answer we'll get here will be 1 divided by 3. And this goes on. Supposing we reduced our exponential value here by 1, it would become 3 to the power negative 2. And this would equal to 1/3 divided by 3. Or actually 1 divided by 3 times 3, which is 1 by 9. Or still you can say 1/3 squared. And if we reduced this exponential value further by 1, we would have this become 3 to the power minus 3. And this would equal to 1 squared divided by 3. So it would end up being 1/3 to the power 3, or what we call 3 cubed in other cases. Okay, so let's look at another example to explain this theory. And that's if we had, say, 2 to the power 4. This would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 16. Let's reduce the power, the exponential power by 1. This would be 2 to the power 3. And this would be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And if we reduce the power here by 1 again, it will be 2 to the power 2. And this would equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. And you can see the pattern here. We are dividing by 2, dividing by 2. And if we reduce this 2 again by 1, we would have 2 to the power 1, which will be 2. And if we reduce this exponential power here 1 by 1, it would be 2 to the power 0. And on this side, we'd still divide by 2, and the answer we'll get here would be 1. So if we reduce this exponential power by 1, would end up having 2 to the power negative 1, which will be the same as saying 1 divided by 2, 1 divided by 2, or 1/2. And if we reduced it further by 1, the exponential value would have 2 to the power negative 2. And this would be 1/2 divided by 2, which would become 1/4. Or it can be written as 2 squared. So in this case, we can turn negative exponential values into positive exponential values by getting the reciprocal of our number. Okay, now if you think this lesson helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Thank you for learning with me, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.